Toronto Mayor John Tory is calling for an external review into how the police handle missing persons cases in response to the ongoing Bruce McArthur investigation. This is something the LGBTQ community has been demanding for years. So is this review a great first step or too little too late? Joining me is LGBTQ advocate and community leader Nicki. Nicki, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so that's the question. Is this a good first step, this call to action by Mayor Tory?
At the risk of being a centrist, this is a good intermediary step. As you rightly say, we've called for this for a number of years. It's been obviously identified as a case that needs to be remedied because it's a problem with reporting people as missing, but them not being recorded in the system. It's an intermediary step. My concern, of course, is that this is going to spin out for years and years and years, and by the time the recommendation comes back, we'll all have retired and gone on to doing something different. So I'd like to see some more immediate action, because there's some low-hanging fruit.
Okay, we'll get to the immediate action in a moment, but let's look, I guess, in the other direction as well, because the mayor has said that after this case is settled, he would hope that the province of Ontario would have some sort of public inquiry into the matter. And so the question is that going in the wrong direction? Are we looking too far out? Is the province the right place to deal with this? What about the federal level? A lot of questions people have this morning.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting point about the federal level, because what I'm hearing too is that there are problems, there are internal communication problems, which we've already heard about, but there are also problems of communication between the province and the federal registries. So, but I think closer examination and some degree of independence has got to be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but I think because everything, we're living in this era of reconciliation, the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls Commission is going on, fraught with its own problems. Right, so. I guess a lot of people are saying, do we want to go down that road again? Would there be benefit to something like that when really our kick at the can with regard to that so important issue is being fumbled in a lot of ways?
Well, I'm a pragmatist. Right now, back in 2010, we knew that people, our friends, our neighbors were going missing and perhaps were murdered. And so we focused on the practical things, getting material out there and pressuring the police to take our concerns more seriously. And I think going forward, it has to be very much the same thing. Practical steps to get better policing, not just for our community, but for everybody.
Well, yeah, and that's what I want to talk about right now, because that's really the practical is the immediate, it's the here and now, it's in our neighborhoods. And you've been calling on this for years, getting the police to take these issues more seriously. How could they do that? If you had the ability to write something down and say, do this, police, what would be on that list?
Well, I think the first thing, and again, back to what the mayor has done, a lot of people forget that Toronto Police Services, while being very large and it's a billion-dollar organization, is still a municipal service. And so a greater degree of accountability at City Hall, I think, is important. I mean, we wouldn't accept this kind of service from any other municipally delivered service. So I think that might be helpful.
I got to ask the question, why do you think it's taken so long?
I think, obviously, the elephant in the room is, was there some degree of bias, whether it's LGBT or because some of the people were people of color for other reasons. That has to be considered, but these kind of institutional changes to correct those are so very, very long. In the meantime, we have some really low-hanging fruit that can be fixed.
And what is that low-hanging fruit?
Answering the phone quickly, yeah. 911, making sure that reports are taken seriously, making sure that they're followed up, making sure there's better communication internally. Simple stuff.
Everything from issues that between the city and Pride to reconciliation over the 60 Scoop. I've got to wonder, what's the state of relations between the police, the LGBTQ community here in Toronto? Is it improving? Give me a snapshot of where we are today.
Well, it depends who you ask. If you ask the Toronto Police Service, they say it's troubled but fine. But if you ask the LGBT community, you'll get a very different answer. Right now, we're reverting to old school methods. And in fact, a lot of the communication that's going on is through back channels instead of these systems that were set up to try and accommodate LGBT people. So restoring the public trust is an important part of what has to happen.
All right, Nicki Ward, thank you for being here today and sharing your story, giving us some insights. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.